Oh, what a night. Late December back in 83. What a very special time for me. What a night. Yeah, this is a funny book. And we talk about comic books on this station. Yes, we do. The name of the show is The Golden Age of DC Comics, 365 Days. We take this well-loved hardcover coffee table book given to me about 2 decades ago by one of my best friends. This has been surfing my coffee table ever since and has been a constant source of comic book shop style conversations, the kind I wish to recreate today with you here right now. Thank you so much for tuning in. You are the most important part of this show. You are the most important ingredient in our recipe. This conversation, our conversation. Pull up a chair to the coffee table. Bring a cup of whatever you want. Tell me what your mug of anything that you're putting under your nose. Put that in the comments. What are you drinking? I got coffee. This is a Honduran coffee. This is a medium roast, light to medium roast. It's magnificent. Indeed. You know who likes coffee more than me? My dentist. Can you stop drinking so much coffee? No. Sorry. At least we keep each other in business, huh? My dentist does a really good job on my cleanings. I get good dental, so I get my smile worked on. A couple of times a year. So and they're like, we're gonna use a bit more abrasive this time, and like, thank you. I'm on YouTube. Can you work on anything dingy in the front? Yeah, and it's like, I love my dentist. Seriously, why are we talking about my dentist of all things? We're gonna get to it. We're talking about comic books. We are using this book for its intended purpose. It's a 365 days book. We're going to open up to today's date, which is December the 12th. We're going to look at some comic book art of an antediluvian age. We're going to read the blurb, and then we're going to talk about comic books. And we're going to talk about comic books every day for the rest of the year. We've been doing it all year long, all year strong. We're going to finish this year strong as well. We're going to keep going on, and we're going to talk about comic books. And we are talking about comic books. Please keep leaving comments, showing up to the live chat at the premiere. That always is so much fun. If I'm able to make it, sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I could be working late. I'm a chef. I'm usually coming out of our underground, our subway, about premiere time. So sometimes I'm blessed to catch the live chat premiere. Sometimes I just barely miss it, but it's always good to see familiar faces there, and I really appreciate you and us in this conversation that we're having. So let's get to it. Let's open up this book to December the 12th. Wah, 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 wah. We have pencils by Dick Sprang, inks by Charlie Paris from Tech Detective Comics issue number 171, May of 1951. Wah! Batman's leading them into some trap, but he will be back looking for me. Lucky I've prepared a safe hiding space. Wah, wah, wah. I'm putting on those whats. Because we're talking about the Penguin. This is a Batman foe, Oswald Cobblepot. Man of many origin stories by this time. And let's get into it. I hope you're doing awesome. I hope that you are clobbering your problems and not being clobbered by them. For real. The Penguin. The Penguin. Let's look up. I hope it doesn't. Yes, here we are. I'm going to read this from, you guessed it, the Wiki. The Penguin is a supervillain appearing in American comic books published by DC Comics, commonly an adversary of the superhero Batman. He made his first appearance in Tech number 58. Detective Comics in December of 1941. He was created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger. The Penguin is one of Batman's most enduring enemies and belongs to the collective adversaries that make up Batman's rogues gallery. The Penguin is a Gotham City mobster who fancies himself the #1 gentleman of crime. He is most often seen wearing a monocle, a top hat, and a morning suit while carrying his signature umbrella. Sometimes he's depicted as being maybe malformed, about having like a penguin, a long nose that looks like a bird's beak, and wearing a tuxedo all the time. And then sometimes he's like, such as the Burgess Meredith interpretation of Penguin. That's where you got the wah wah wah, like he's quacking, making like duck like noise. I don't think penguins sound that way. Do they sound that way? I mean, I watched that March of the Penguin movie with Morgan Freeman's voice all over that. I love that movie. Oh, is that sad scene when the mama one comes back and she faces the husband and the husband lost the egg. Oh, that's like heartbreaking. How much pathos can you get out of, birds living life? Out of the March of the Penguins. But yeah, there've been a few different kind of iterations of Penguin going on since 1941. And yes, sometimes he's like look like Danny DeVito, another live action depiction of Oswald Cobblepot, who is malformed and treated as with the freak show. There used to be something called the freak show in a traveling carnival where people with, non-typical attributes would be showcased for the price of admission. Yes, a freak. That's where the word geek comes from. You would see the geek. What did the sideshow freak the geek do? The geek bit the head off of a live chicken. It was such an oddity, you had to pay to see it. Only a real weirdo would do that. But what does it say for the person that pays the admission to see the geek doing the geek's job? Let's get back to this funny book. All right. I started off by butchering a song. It says it's late September back in 1963, but I changed it to say late December back in 1983, when I was 11 years old. So I'm going to use this episode as an excuse to maybe make a dry run of my upcoming show, the 3 Bs, bag, board, and box. So I bought this at a comic book convention at Wicked Comic Con in April of 22. It went for $15. I looked it up in the mighty Overstreets right here, page 990. Star Wars, Marvel Comics, 71 through 80, near mint, $14. That's a 9.0. So yes, I paid a fair price for this back issue, of which I remember getting as a kid. So one of the things I'm going to do in B3 or 3Bs, I have, it's going to be something like that. I want to bag, board, and put into new boxes all of my comic books. And I can even read from here to see how much they're actually worth. And maybe even group them in a new way and box them in a new way, and maybe even try to sell some. Why not? I mean, what am I going to do with all these comic books? I mean, Cecil does Cecil does auctions, and they're so fun. But he's right. Like, him and I are of an age. And what am I going to do with all these comic books? Do I lug them around for my life, or maybe I can, I wouldn't do it for the money. Money's nice, but maybe someone else out there wants, the complete run of 52 every week and every tie-in, like World War III. or like the complete countdown to Infinite Crisis with every tie-in, such as the search for Ray Palmer and Countdown Arena. And I remember where I think I remember where I was when I got this. I was 11 years old, or maybe I was 10, going on 11, because December cover price. A December cover means this gets taken off the shelf in December. I'll turn 11 in November of 1983. I'll turn 11, but this is I'm pretty sure I got this at my local comic book shop, Superhero Universe 3, which was on the corner of Summer Street in Washington, in a shopping district known as Downtown Crossing, where we used to have our major department stores, and such as Filene's and Jordan Marsh. And my grandfather worked at Jordan Marsh, so I would go in, say hi to my grandfather. He'd slip me a couple of bucks, and I'd go to the comic book shop across the street and get some funny books. And this one was very special because it's a Star Wars comic book. I'm a huge G1 Star Wars fan. This is a really special standalone issue. This is about Wedge Antilles, the other pilot, the other X-Wing pilot, and how this is his survival tale after Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi will not come out. Let's see, 83. So yeah, so Return of the Jedi had come out in May of 83. So these are just, and these things are produced before then, and so this fits in between Empire and Return of the Jedi canonically, or timeline wise, and at this point in fandom and history, you have to be specific about which canon you are adhering to, such as like the Marvel comic book was never G canon, was never George canon. George canon was the highest level of Star Wars canon you could get. Now you'd call this gatekeeping. These individuals that have standards of fandom, and of like what do you accept as canon? What do you accept as like as like how much of the story do you own up here, I guess? So the Marvel's Star Wars stories were never canon, not even and after 91, the Dark Horse Dark Empire, that was canon. And that was Lucas Arts Books and Story Group, back when they meant something. And that's when they started doing the whole interrelated continuity. So Marvel Star Wars predates that. And remember, Dark Horse got the license for Star Wars, and they did wonderful, wonderful stories set in the prequel era. Oh gosh, those stories, Tales of the Jedi as well. Oh wow, Tales of the Distant Past, and just like almost like medieval fantasy, but it's Star Wars. It was like Star Wars had such a rich history, and then came the Dark Days, then came the Mouse. Yeah, and look, I love the ads. 11 years old, 10 to 11 years old. Video games are huge. I would loot the couches and pockets of my mom. I would never go into her pocketbook and steal money. No, that was a no-no. But whatever was like loose change in the couch was mine. And I got, how many quarters did you get from loose change in the couch? I could buy, a couple of 2 quarters will almost buy you an issue of Star Wars. 3 quarters will, and it will eventually go up to 75 cents pretty soon as well. But 3 quarters would get you either the funny book or 3 rounds of Galaxian. Or, Burger Time. Remember Burger Time? It's like this Mario ripoff, Donkey Kong. There was all these Donkey Kong ripoffs. But yeah, this is hot stuff. David Michelini, plot and script. Luke McDowell, pencils. Bob Layton on the inks, man. Bob Layton. I follow him on Twitter. He's a great old school comics creator. He did a lot of Iron Man, and he's a joy to follow. Joe Rosen on the letters. Glynis Wine on colors. Len Wine's wife. Louise Jones on editor. Louise Jones, who would become Louise Simonson. And Jim Shooter. And this was the Jim Shooter days. And here's the indicia. So this would have to have been removed off the shelf by the end of December of 1983. This is a survival tale, and it's about what happened to Wedge after the attack of Hoth. And he was stranded on Hoth with Jansen. Good shot, Jansen. So him and Jansen are stranded on Hoth. Jansen dies horribly off panel. Here you got Wedge, he's grown a beard. He's he's fighting off Wampa, and the whole thing is told from there's a derelict troop transport, because this was a huge action figure holder. Brian had one of these. My best friend Brian Massey, and this had the Y-wing. Oh gosh, I loved any excuse to see Y-wings. Look at that. And they find a derelict, and they found that Wedge was in there. And Wedge was actually all along just on the outside fixing a panel and was coming back in. and so there we go. We got just a happy ending, and it's a really nice Star Frontiers. That was like the outer space D&D. And I just love the house ads. But look at this. Look at this page. These are the bullpen page. I don't want to bend back the comic book. It's like the assistant editor month is coming up. That's so funny. And look at that. Return of the Jedi #3, the limited series. So the comic book adaptation of Star Wars is being released around this time as well, which will figure in continuity-wise, because after those issues, they start telling post-Jedi tales. Luke as now confident Jedi Knight going forward, and then all the it wasn't the Yuuzhan Vong. No, it was was it the Yuuzhan Vong? Wow, that's where my continuity starts going off the rails a little bit, and I loved this comic book growing up, and I got a second chance at owning it. I went to a convention and I found it, what I felt was a decent price, and it turns out to be the decent price for that. So, and this is going in to a bag and board. Yeah, we have a bag, we have a board, and this is going to be going into a new box. Actually, this resides on my spinner rack. Seriously, I've got several Bronze Age Star Wars funny books on there. I want my spinner rack to look like a certain epoch of my life, so I'm adorning it with comic books that I would have picked up off of a spinner rack at my local corner store. What's a corner store? You would think of it as a bodega. You get a carton of eggs, a gallon of milk, a stick of butter. Ma sent me down for a pack of her smokes too. You know what I mean? My stepfather had a wonderful thing that I found out later in life was called the Hobson's Choice. It's you can go to the corner store and get me my pack of smokes and keep the change, or you can go to the corner store and get me my pack of smokes and give me back my change. This is a true story. So, what did I do with that pocket change? I bought comic books. Yeah, so this is pretty much a dry run. I'm going to be tinkering with the format and my expectations of the show and what I want to convey, the information, the love, the conversation I keep wanting to have daily about comic books. I truly believe I have a lot more than 365 individual comic books. And that's, and what if we do 2 a day? That would just, that fills up some story time. We're talking about comic books. Comic books aren't just about the trade paperbacks and the omnibuy and its hardcover collect. It's like, This is just a collection of the stories, which could have been 4 individual issues, all which with that were released in serial. It's for some of us comic book collectors and accumulators. I'm more of a comic book accumulator. I look down and now I've got like close to 10 long boxes that I have to go through all of these comic books. I have to save my collection. I am going to value my collection, and I am going to potentially sell chunks of it. And so, yeah, if you're interested, I will be putting out feelers for that kind of thing. I'm going to do it the Cecil way and have an auction. Perhaps. But thank you so very much for tuning in today. We've been talking about comic books, and guess what? We're going to talk about comic books every day for the rest of the year. So tune in tomorrow, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern, and we'll find out who we're talking about when we turn the page tomorrow. Please like and subscribe. I would love to earn your subscription. We make daily content here. We talk about comic books every day. I make regular content. I want to make more and more cooking videos because that's what I'm really good at it. That's what I do professionally. I'm a tradesman. I'm a chef. Share the techniques. I just did a really good one on clam chowder. I have to make clam chowder every week now from scratch. It's a blessing. I don't eat the stuff. I don't like it. But I make a pretty darn good cup of chowder. On this, it's a bittersweet day for me personally. I'll show you real quick. Today, I lost my best work friend 3 years ago. And I learned how to make chowder from him. So going forward, I'm going to ask the managers if I can advertise it as Chef Scotty's Chowder. Because Scotty would we would go through so much chowder. We have this 30-gallon steam cauldron. And then I wouldn't work next to him for years. I worked next to him for about 6 years. We were just chef partners, like Switek and Zito, like Starsky and Hutch. The middle of service, he drops dead of a heart attack at 10:30 a.m. There we are. Yeah, he was 50 years old, man. And that was 3 years ago, and now I just turned 50 as well. And I'll always have him in my heart. Seriously, he was my best work friend. I spent a lot of time working with him, slugging out service, making things happen, getting the job done, and serving our community. And I'll never stop missing him. And but I make chowder the way he does. And so tune in for that. I'll leave the What's Cooking playlist right here. Check it out. And if you eat, you might eat about 3 or 4 times a day. There might be something of interest to you. So please like and subscribe. Thank you so very much. God bless. Namaste. Good luck. Love you, Scotty, man, forever. Cheers, man. To my best work friend, Scotty Boucher. He was a big Dio fan. There you go. All right. Ciao. Bye. We'll see you again tomorrow in those funny pages.